It is 1:30, still on July 28th. So at 1:30, we have Carla Bossi, County Attorney, formation of the Public Safety Commission decision. We are a little premature with that, and Carla did advise us of that. We discussed that just this morning. But we need to hear from the City Council first, and we also gave her a list of questions to get answers to. So, did you want to talk any more about this, Brenda?
No, I was here to listen
Okay, then we will table this. As far as Melissa, did you have anything you wanted to bring up on the agreement from this morning?
Sure, but I don't know how much do you want.
You know, whatever you want to share with us,
Okay.
We would appreciate your expertise.
I do better standing up. I appreciate the opportunity. I wasn't, I read the commissioner agenda items in the paper, and I saw this and I said, I've never heard of this before, so I was kind of curious, obviously, since it's my former position. Just a little background, public health emergency preparedness grants through the Department of Public Health and Human Services, where I formerly worked, are available, and they have certain what they call deliverables for the sanitarium. Very, very, we make a point, I'm still saying the presence because I'm getting used to not being there, but very minimal required. But one of the things that came up often was the sanitarium, if there was an emergency, truck wreck, illness outbreak, and the sanitarium wasn't available because of vacation or out of town or something like that, it's important to have somebody that can respond. And so it was kind of designed to be kind of a mutual agreement between counties. You know, but if you have more than one sanitarium in the county, it's kind of taken care of. But if you have only one, it gets to be a challenge. And it, you know, I was kind of surprised that, you know, it's possible that she didn't. I did contact the Jefferson County Sanitarium and asked, did she talk to you? She said, yeah, years ago. But since she has a backup sanitarium employed there, she doesn't need that reciprocity. So I would just say that, you know, I don't think it's something that you need to have a contract for. What concerns me, and I will just kind of be blunt on this, is that she's asking for more things to be done besides the PEP deliverable, getting help doing inspections, and just historically, I did the job as a sanitarium planner and a couple other job duties, and I work part-time. Didn't have any trouble getting. There are no more licensed establishments today than there was 10 years ago when I was here. So the fact that you can't do inspections kind of makes me ask why, as a full-time sanitarian doing just one job. So I also know these people in the contract, and I highly recommend, as my friend in Jefferson County did too, that they're not the kind of people, you know, like I said, the only one that's available works for 7 counties, and she lives in Bozeman and does Central Montana Health District and Garfield County. She's not gonna have time for Broadwater County, so.
Too far away.
Yeah, and you just can't, physically you just can't do the job. It's hard for her to do the job she has full-time position for right now. So those are the things that kind of caution me. You know, really what it comes down to is, yes, she needs backup sanitarium. I am in an emergency situation again. I'm saying that at least for the interim, I'm willing to do that for just as a courtesy to the county. I mean, just to be available if there's something comes up, because I used to get the phone calls at the state, so it's kind of normal. You know, when we get a truck wreck, they call me first, and then I call the county. So it's not, there's hardly any that much involved, and again, it's just for emergencies, not to do the additional duties of the sanitarium. So I did have a chance to read it, and I just caution against the people in this contract, plus I don't think it's necessary, so I guess I'll shut up.
Thank
Do you have any
very
questions?
much. We appreciate your input.
Yeah, and you know, if I could help, I'm willing to help. So.
Do either of you have questions of Melissa?
I don't believe so.
He knows the work I do. So he's going
We go back a long ways, don't we?
yeah.
More than
20 years ago, I came here, this almost to the day. So
Is that right?
And you showed up the first day and you were unhappy about the previous sanitarian, I remember, so, yeah, 20 years ago today, so, well, this month, so.
So another congratulations.
Yeah, and then I moved here, go figure.
At that time, you were living in Cascade.
Yeah, I was commuting back and forth, and did Jefferson County as well, so, been around,
Mm,
it shows, so.
It does on all of us.
Yeah.
I try to deny it, and I look at my ears and brush my teeth and think, no.
So,
Melinda, did you have a
Excuse me,
comment?
Madam Chair, I just have a problem with her being able to express her opinion about all these things without Julie being here to hear this also, so that she can say, hey, well, this is the reason why, when this is her position. I just want to put that in there for a record, that I think this is unfair that Julie is not here to hear this. Thank you. And I
Thank
feel
you.
this is a setup.
I will disagree with that. Melissa
You
has.
might disagree, but the way things have came about today, it's pretty much you guys have a setup going on. She wants her job back, pretty obvious. I will do.
just for the
Okay,
record.
Melinda.
How long?
Melinda, that's enough. You're way off base and you're
No, I'm not
entirely
way off base.
100%
I don't
incorrect.
Please make that a matter of record. I've done this 30 years.
You guys are troublemakers.
All right, again, thank you for your expertise. And it is the privy of the chairman, under Robert's Rules of Order, to call expert witnesses at any time. So I appreciate your willingness to talk to us
Mhm.
and share that expertise.
I appreciate that.
Trudy?
Do you know how this came about, being submitted to the county? Is this something that Julie requested, or is this something that just they sent it in, or do we know?
That's not something that someone would have just sent in. Julie has been looking for that backup sanitarian for quite some time. This is another thing that she pursued.
Okay.
This is not a decision that has been made yet. We are still in the investigatory process, and that's all we're doing right now, is getting information so that we can make the best, most informed decision.
Okay, I'm just curious on how it showed up, but, thank you.
All right. As far as that goes, the only other thing, there was something else to bring up, that was tabled from this morning, maybe not. We did have the Forest Service meeting on Thursday. I met with Bill Avery and Corey Llewellyn, and we're gonna postpone the meeting with all the different partners until the 18th. So, and we will have a tour, which was canceled due to all the rain. It's degrading the roads up there, and they want it in best shape possible for the logging project. And that will be postponed until sometime in August. And then the other thing is I do want a support letter for the Cabin Gulch, and I'll put that on the agenda unless you guys have opposition. Okay. Anything else then for the good of the order? Any other matters we need to bring up or discuss? Okay. All right, anyone else? Alan?
I guess I missed, on the agenda, it was mentioned for the Public Safety Committee
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and I guess, did you guys already talk about it?
We did. Yes, it was very short.
Oh, I
We
thought-
don't have many of the answers to the questions that we had posed a week ago. Until we get those, it'd be a repeat of last week. We also need to hear from the city council. They also had a list of questions. Until we get those questions answered, there's no point in moving forward. So we're in a holding pattern. We just tabled it.
Okay, yeah, because I went and because of last week's, when Carla was explaining some of the potential problems that we don't really know even what they may be. I went and talked to the mayor, because I remember when this first came up months ago, and I guess I just, put it back to the back burner and turned it off. And now that by listening to her, and other comments that I had heard, is there an alternative to this Public Safety Committee? Because I guess I understand that there really is no, as it was put, a template.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any other counties in Montana that are similar in size, similar in population, similar in, I guess, taxable income, that has a city with no police department, with a county sheriff's department that's union.
To answer that question, yes, there's quite a few. There's an awful lot of cities that share their policing services with the county, therefore the sheriff takes care of the city as well. There's a lot of interlocal agreements for that around the state. Any others that have a public safety commission, like size, like population, yes, there's Toole County. The differences are they have a much higher valuation than we do, much higher taxes than we do. And also, they're not union. So that's the big differences. They're the only one, though, that has a public safety commission, so there's just one other county. This is new. There is an alternative, and that's the status quo. We stay with what we're doing now. There's some issues that this helps with, and there's some issues that this solves. And that's why it's being looked at. Again, no decisions have been made other than to go ahead and pursue it, but of course we'll have to vote on the agreement depending on what those answers are. But at this point, yeah, those are our two choices, status quo or the Public Safety Commission.
So then, other counties that are similar to us, that have a union sheriff's department, that the county department patrols, enforces the law within the city limits, what type of agreements do they have that's different from what we have existing? In other words, the reason why I'm asking this is because after listening to Carla, that there could be a lot of shoulda, coulda, would, I mean, all kinds of flags went up, which was good for her because she said, hey, there's all kinds of potential problems. Now, so I went and I've inquired, done some asking questions. And is there a strong possibility that we could actually create a greater expenditure by going this way because of there are so many unknowns? And it just seems like unknowns are always cost money. And so my question is for one of them, again, other counties that have similar, what type of agreements do they have that's not a really highly subsidized community? Because I understand Toole is a highly subsidized community. So on the federal level. And so is there, I mean, when you say that there are no alternatives, so if these other counties are doing something, I guess maybe, are we overlooking something?
No, as far as the unknowns, there's unknown opportunities and unknown pitfalls. We don't know which is gonna outweigh which at this point. That's why we're investigating and looking into it. There are other alternatives. The status quo is an alternative, and that's where we're at right now. There are problems with the status quo right now, and we're trying to figure out what the best way is to address those. This is potentially one of them. As far as agreements, like I said, there's the interlocal agreement. And I don't know how boilerplate ours is, but it is by no means the only one. There are many local agreements in the state, and that is where the county sheriff's department also polices the cities. Toole County is not subsidized. They just have a whole lot more opportunities for a better valuation than we do, but they're not subsidized. No alternatives, again, status quo. So we don't have any answers for you. Can it cost more money? Yeah. Could it save money? Yeah. We don't know the answer yet. This is not an avenue, though, for funneling more money into law enforcement. Our intent at this point is the city and the county, and this is what Brenda's been putting together, is we put in so much of the budget to law enforcement right now. What is that percentage? And so that percentage would be taken and put into the PSC. They would then do with that bucket what they will, but it wouldn't be a bigger bucket, it would be the same size bucket. So, again, they could save money, just through really good budgeting, or, and there could be things that can cost more money. I don't know what those would be, but we are not looking at, trying to funnel more money in there. So that would be one of those unknowns, but at this point, I don't see anything that equates to more money.
Right, because I don't, and I guess I wasn't trying to imply that, as you put it, throwing more money into it, but it's because of the, looking at it from my business, it's kind of like a research and development type approach. And to me, that's always, until it's established, it's expensive. More so than maybe a status quo or whatever a system may be used. And so,
Not necessarily, there's no extra cost for this. And I think I'm gonna, in the meeting, we can have a discussion if you want, but the members are going to serve as volunteers, so there's no cost there. It's up to them as far as how often they meet, but there shouldn't be any cost there. Maybe mileage, most of our boards don't pay mileage. That would, I guess, be up to them, but it would come out of that budget. So again, it wouldn't cost any more money for the county. Research and development, we have to research. We have to get answers to these questions before we can jump.
and that's,
So depending on what those answers are will depend on if we jump and how we jump. But we aren't doing anything till we get those answers. So if you do want to follow up more and get more detail, we can certainly do that, but I don't think that this give and take during the meeting is appropriate.
well, no, I mean, because I've asked a lot of citizens, residents of the community, not a lot, several, and they don't have a clue, okay, which is not uncommon. I mean, the sheeple out there, I mean, and we all got more things to do in their meetings. But, is there something in writing that you do have at this time? I mean, is there
Not that
anything
we've agreed
that
to,
you
no.
guys have written down to where
We have a
the public
two-page,
can read something?
we have a two-page document, it's an agreement, it is not finalized yet. It's what brought a lot of these questions forward. It's not filled out as far as what the percentages are. It is a boilerplate document that needs to be revised to address our issues. Yes, there is that. Is it complete? No. Does it have all the answers? No. It is just enough so that you can see the boilerplate that we're starting with. But you're welcome to that, it's public domain. So
Okay.
I can get you either an electronic copy or you can get a copy from the clerk recorder's office.
Because like I say, I've asked a lot of people,
Mhm.
and oh, yeah, I remember in the past, oh, yeah, or never
We've
heard
never
of
had
it.
it, we've never had it,
And so, and so that was one of the things, well, is there something written down? And so,
Yep, we can get you that straw horse that we have at this point.
okay.
Yeah, it's not complete. Trudy?
Isn't one of the reasons why you're looking at the PSC is because of the not in compliance with some of the salary for the law enforcement?
That's a
Office.
potential solution for that issue. It goes back to, well, over 10 years. And at this point, that's one of the solutions. If we don't do that, it very well could be that we're going to district court to try and figure out how to solve that issue. And that is not an avenue that I think any one of us wants to go.
Follow up?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't the commission vote 6 months or so ago on a 7-member PSC commission?
We voted to pursue it. We have not voted to finalize it, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, so if we move
And I know the
forward-
city council voted for 5, so I guess that would be
And I
worked out
think we
in the
went with
details.
5-2, didn't we? If we move forward, it would be the same as the city. But again, without that agreement, nothing is solid yet. You have to at least do that first step so that you can get all the pieces in a row so you can decide whether or not you're gonna sign a contract. But you can't even get there if you don't have an agreement to start with, or at least the vote that you're gonna move forward.
One more question.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about taking the funds and putting it in the bucket of the PSC, and it might be for good budgeting. Does that mean that they would be ultimately responsible for the budget for the law enforcement, and that Brenda and the undersheriff would not really have any input with the budget anymore, that they would strictly be responsible for it?
How that looks would be up to them to work out, but yes, the budgetary responsibilities would be up to the PSC, and that's where a lot of the questions are coming from. How does that work? We would be just exactly like what we have right now. Fund 2300, 2302, and search and rescue, I don't remember the fund number, all have a certain amount of money, and they all are within a parameter of mills. So there's no difference as far as the county perspective. That same amount of money would be put into the PSC, Public Safety Commission. Those commissioners then would do the budgeting with that money, but as far as the county, it would be exactly the same. So that would be their responsibility. How they would work with the sheriff and undersheriff would be up to their relationship that they would build.
And so if they didn't budget properly, basically the law enforcement and the citizens would be the one that would be the ones at a loss. And no one really accountable because they're volunteers.
They are volunteers appointed, so yeah, that's some of the questions we have. What is their responsibility? How far does that go? Yeah, those are some of the questions we have, and I don't have any answers at this point. Those are just the parameters with which a PSC works, and it's all in statute. So, I guess I can't answer your question.
Things like that is
You?
just a lot more involved than just like a weed board or a solid waste district.
And it's not a board, it's a commission. So, yeah, you're right, there's a big difference. But no, it's not a board. The weed board is a board, the Public Safety Commission is a commission. So, bigger differences. Also, the commission is completely governed by MCA, not by the commission, not by this commission. So, again, those are some of the questions that we put to Carla to investigate and try and get answers to.
I just think like that's a lot of responsibility for appointed volunteers that could wreak havoc on a budget for law enforcement.
And that's what we're looking at, is how do you protect the county, how do you protect law enforcement? The flip side of that is, they could be a whole lot better. They could be an extremely driven, smart group with experience in budgeting, with experience in management, that could actually increase the efficiencies of that department tenfold. Could happen, we don't know yet. So that's what we're dealing with, is getting the answers, doing the investigation, the research, so that we have the best information to move forward, however that's gonna be.
Can I have one follow up?
John?
Yes, I have a question. In respect to this board, which is 5 or 7, who appoints them?
2 by the commission, 2 by the city, 1 at large. And that's in statute.
Doesn't the sheriff's department have equal say to you? Shouldn't our sheriff have the same representation? Because it basically affects our sheriff's department and our protection.
We're working with the sheriff on this. She
Okay,
is our
but
partner
why
in
not
this.
give her the same
John?
authority as you?
You need to contact your legislator if you'd like to change Montana state law. That is
No, I
not
don't want to
something-
change that. I
That's, you're
deal
asking
with
a question that I've
constitutional
already
law.
answered. No, John,
Okay.
Montana state law says this is how it's done. 2 are appointed by the commission for the county, 2 by the city councilors, and 1 at large. We will follow Montana state law. Alan, one last question, then we're gonna go ahead and close.
Okay, so by what you're just saying, that under statutory law, that this commission actually becomes a subdivision under local government, where it becomes its own authority, its own entity?
No, a political
Does that mean-
subdivision is elected by the people.
Okay, that's wrong, I was trying to see
Yeah.
the right, because by what you were
It's
saying.
totally different than anything we've ever had before, so again, I don't know.
Because if I catch what you just saying, their authority on the budget is final.
For their budget.
Well, because they're doing the city and the county, so it would be, as far as for public safety, law enforcement purposes, their decision is final. And so is there any requirements? Do these people who are volunteers, do they have to have a expertise in creating and understanding public funds and budgets?
As far as what I'll be looking for, and I'll let my two fellows speak for themselves, but I'll be looking for a resume, I'll be looking for experience, I'll be looking for expertise, and I'll be looking for a history of the ability to do exactly that. Manage, budget, supervise, motivate, all the things that are important of a leader, is what I'll be looking for.
So then,
So,
in a sense, what you're saying is that the city, county, and the sheriff's department have become unable to manage their own budgets?
no, no,
I guess
there was an error made over 10 years ago that took Broadwater County out of compliance with the salaries paid to deputies in the sheriff's department. It was connected with the union negotiations, and
Yes.
how that happened, I don't know. It's before our time, it's before Brenda's time. So we're dealing with the plate we've been served. So what we're doing now is trying to figure out, either by looking at the PSC or the other option, what is the best way that we can address this or fix the issue. We don't know what the answer is yet. We're investigating everything we can, and before we sign on the dotted line, we are gonna have every answer we can to all myriad different questions that have come up on this,
'Cause it just-
including yours today.
Yeah, it just seems, as a layman, it just seems awful bizarre that you would have an entity with that much authority over your local government's budget, financial. Basically, they control the money.
Only that bucket. They can't get any more than that. So it's, it's just
But we're only
whatever's.
talking about this bucket though.
Right, it's already
Law
determined by
enforcement.
Mills.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a biggie.
Okay,
Okay.
any further discussion, any further questions? If you want to talk to any of us, we can go ahead and make sure your questions get to Carla. But I think this is not a public hearing, so we'll go ahead and get whatever answers we can for you on an individual basis, if that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your time. I mean, I just,
You bet.
because like I say, I've been asking around and nobody knows nothing.
It's like anything else. We've got to find the answers, we've got to keep asking questions till we at least have the information that we feel comfortable with before moving ahead or determining not to.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Julie, did you want to say anything? We're just about to ready to close the meeting.
Did Carla come in and?
No, I don't know if she's here or not. We have tabled the PSC discussion, so she hasn't come in. So we'll just table
I got
the
an email
contract.
from her, so.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, she was saying she couldn't find the previous contract or something. I said, well, this is a new contract, but there was a contract done in the 2008
Oh, okay.
budget. And it was for $6,000. It's with Ron Anderson, so I don't know whether that will provide you with some more information. She should have a copy of that
Okay,
contract. So anyway, it's just
excellent.
information. But so
Yeah.
this is tabled until
Next week? Does that work for you? Do you
I
want a
won't be
time?
here.
Okay.
I won't be here on Monday, but
Do you want to talk about it on Wednesday at all?
that's fine.
Okay,
So
All right.
put it on the agenda for next Wednesday.
yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Did you guys want to add anything to the PSC discussions or questions? Okay. All right, with that, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
I was thinking just one.
I guess
Sunday.
You don't.
I just-
No,
I guess I just don't.
it's a big issue, and we don't have all the answers yet, and we're still trying to get those together, so.